While more sexual harassment allegations pile up for ex-Today Show host Matt Lauer, his alma mater scrambles to assess the financial fallout. Lawmakers around the country are discussing new ways to tackle sexual harassment in the workplace.
And in sports, three-time NBA champion LeBron James was ejected for the first time in his career. Newswatch starts right now.
Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
I wouldn't say I was close to him, but he was someone I've stayed in touch with over the years. So this was a complete and utter shock to me.
Reaction from his former professor after NBC fired 59-year-old Today Show host Matt Lauer this morning following complaints of sexual harassment. Good evening, I'm Jacob Solother. Thanks for joining us. The network announced that Lauer was let go after a colleague detailed a complaint about inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace. Just hours after the firing, NBC says it's received at least 2 more complaints related to Lauer. One complaint came from a former employee who said Lauer summoned her to his office for sex back in 2001. Variety reports of another incident in which Lauer once gave a colleague a sex toy as a present. Today Show's Savannah Guthrie made the announcement at the top of the show this morning, calling it a sad morning.
We are heartbroken. I'm heartbroken for Matt. He is my dear, dear friend and my partner, and he is beloved by many, many people here. And I'm heartbroken for the brave colleague who came forward to tell her story and any other women who have their own stories to tell.
NBC said in a statement this morning that its highest priority is to create an environment where everyone feels safe and to take action on any offender, no matter their position with the network. In a statement, the alleged victim's attorney says, "Our impression at this point is that NBC acted quickly and responsibly, as all companies should when confronted with credible allegations about sexual misconduct in the workplace." This story hits close to home for the university community because Matt Lauer provides a scholarship and internship opportunity to OU students. Reporter and former Today Show intern Abby Grisey joins us now.
Yeah, Jacob, a lot of people are talking about how this story in terms of how NBC handled the situation and where the country seems to be regarding sexual harassment and assault. But for journalism students at OU, how this will affect a big selling point for the school is still unclear. Past 14 years, Lauer has donated $166,000 to the Ohio University Foundation. 60 students from Ohio University have interned at the Today Show. 4 OU students are set to intern there this spring, starting in January. But after the spring semester, it's unclear what will happen. The university did not say whether the donated money will be returned or if the internship program will continue. The Scripps College of Communication said in a statement they are disappointed, but sexual misconduct needs to be handled with respect and care. And Scripps School of Journalism Dean Bob Stewart said on Twitter he is committed to supporting students and alumni. Many people have been vocally upset today about Lauer's termination. Communications Studies student Gabby Howell says seeing this fallout was upsetting for her.
He was such a role model and leader in the school and in the community and in the program that so many after him have followed his footsteps. And he was such an inspiration to all of those. And for him to commit an action like this, it kind of just makes us lose hope in him and some of the community in general.
For WOUB News, I'm Abby Grisey. And Jacob, as you said, I was a former intern there. I will say we worked with producers primarily rather than anchors. I said hi to Matt. I talked to him a few times over my course of 3 months there. But I think the reason this is so upsetting for people is because here at OU, we were proud to say he was a Bobcat, and many students, including myself, have looked up to him.
Thanks, Abby. You can find full coverage of this on our website at wub.org. We will, of course, keep you updated on the latest. Another notable broadcaster lost his job amid sexual harassment allegations. Longtime host of a radio show, A Prairie Home Companion, Garrison Keeler says Minnesota Public Radio fired him today after he was accused of inappropriate behavior by a colleague last month. Neither NPR nor Killian has given any details about the allegation, and NPR continues to investigate. The 75-year-old retired last year as host of A Prairie Home Companion, but had continued working with NPR on the projects. Keeler says he deeply is grateful for his years on the radio show and doesn't have any interest in arguing about this. Republicans in the Ohio Senate are regrouping after allegations of sexual harassment forced a high-ranking member to resign in mid-October. Former chair of the Agriculture Committee, Republican Cliff Height of Findlay, resigned after a state employee accused him of sexual harassment. The Republican caucus plans on having meetings this week to determine Height's replacement, assign a new committee chair, and find out if there is support for Height's bills. An investigation of sexual harassment allegations against 4 Republican lawmakers in Kentucky will cost taxpayers up to $50,000. A Louisville law firm will work to provide legal advice to the House Republican caucus. Earlier this month, former GOP House Speaker Jeff Hoover resigned after settling a sexual harassment claim outside of court with a member of his staff. 3 other Republican lawmakers were also part of the settlement and have lost their committee chairmanships.
We've had a beautiful beginning part of the week, but today was no different as there wasn't even a cloud in the sky. Currently, our temperature is sitting at 51 degrees, so that clear skies are just going to keep continuing through a good majority of the night. With that wind, it's pretty calm right now. Dew point's 33 degrees, so it's pretty dry right now. And as we go through the region right now, we are sitting at about 51 degrees here, 53 in Marietta, 52 in New Martinsville, so 50s majority everywhere. As we go through tonight, 7 o'clock over the next few hours, 49, then 8 p.m., 48, 46 by 9 p.m. Those clouds will gradually begin to increase as a little bit chance of rain, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But that would begin to move into the area tomorrow. Jacob.
Thanks, Grant. Large plumes of black smoke continue to fill the air in northeast Ohio. Large plumes of smoke continue to rise in northeast Ohio after a factory went up in flames yesterday evening in Youngstown. Firefighters say burning tires from machinery caused the Salem China factory to go up in flames. The building is owned by the Church Budget Envelope Company, and officials also say rolls of paper and other flammable objects added fuel to the fire, causing it to burn for hours. Sections of the roof collapsed from all the heat and flames. While out in a night in her hometown, Cleveland YouTube star Alyssa Violet and her boyfriend were allegedly punched in the face by a man who works at the bar called the Barley House. However, as Paul Orlowski reports, surveillance video that was released last night refutes the couple's claims of who injured them.
This isn't a publicity stunt. This isn't fake. Like, this is a real thing. And I can't believe it happened to us.
What happened to Ricky Banks began when he was in a restricted basement area of the Barley House and was asked to leave. He made fists and feigned fighting to a bouncer. He and his girlfriend, Alyssa, resisted and were guided up the steps into the main dining area. She was riding a bouncer's back aggressively. He was being guided out in no uncertain terms, but is walking on his own. Alyssa and her friends were being held back till he was ejected. For a time, things calmed down outside.
This is his girlfriend, Alyssa, and her 2 friends. This is once again Alyssa's mother, thanking our security, saying, hey, thank you.
But then the cameras came out again, with Alyssa getting into the faces of other customers, just trying to leave. There's punching and hair pulling. As it goes on, you see Ricky throw a glass at other customers. Later, another confrontation as the camera came out again. There's a struggle, and from the shadows, Ricky attacks again, striking a customer, not a bouncer as he had boasted.
Now, Ricky comes out of nowhere and starts pounding this guy in the face from behind. Totally cheap shotting him. I have friends, customers of Barley House that are being attacked because they look like these assailants and getting threatened, death threats, disgusting pictures being sent to them. It's absurd. They should be embarrassed.
Violet has nearly 3 million followers on YouTube and more than 7 million on Instagram. It is very likely that the Barley House will file a countersuit as they say their reputation has been wronged. As NBC deals with its own sexual harassment incident, lawmakers in Washington speak out about sexual harassment in Congress and discuss plans to reform the allegation process. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
The student body here at Ohio University absolutely is a family.
The students support one another.
You become this unit, this big, friendly family unit.
There's this connectedness.
You feel a part of something.
Driving in on the highway and just seeing the red bricks and the trees again, it's just like coming back home.
There's great students, great professors.
You just walk around campus and think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I go here.
I feel like I matter in the community, and I feel like I matter here at Ohio University.
It's home. Athens is home. I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, this is it. And she said, the tour's just started. I said, no, you don't understand. This is it.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Another former staff member accused Democratic Congressman John Conyers of sexual assault. Deanna Marr told CNN yesterday that Conyers made multiple unwanted sexual advances toward her as far back as 30 years ago. She says the office's culture allowed inappropriate behavior. Marr is almost 80 and speaks out about the assault now because she wants to see changes made in Capitol Hill before she dies. Conyers denies these recent allegations. The recent sexual harassment allegations on Conyers and Roy Moore, among others, have forced several politicians to speak out. House Speaker Paul Ryan said this morning the House Administration Committee will hold a hearing next week on a fund used to settle complaints of sexual harassment.
Look, sexual harassment has no place in any workplace, let alone in the United States Congress. We're taking the issue of sexual harassment very seriously. We're going to continue to do that, but we need to have a comprehensive review of all of these things.
Ryan says the House will consider legislation this week requiring lawmakers, staff, and interns to participate in mandatory workplace training. House Democrat Tim Ryan from Ohio echoes Paul Ryan's statement, saying Congress isn't moving fast enough when it comes to sexual harassment.
This is not happening quick enough. We are not addressing this issue fast enough. We need to make sure that we're setting the example here in the United States Congress, and that means we need the resources and the training and the transparency, partnering with what our colleague Jackie Spears is doing from California.
The state of California is taking actions to change a culture that allows sexual harassment allegations to go unchecked. A California State Assemblywoman is leading a series of public hearings at the state capitol. Mike Lurie reports.
Kathleen Finnegan was a legislative director at the Capitol 4 years ago and filed a legal action against her boss, former Assemblyman Steve Fox.
When he came out of his apartment, he was attempting to put his clothes on with his pants unzipped and exposed himself to me at that time.
Finnegan says she lost her job after reporting the incident and later collected a $100,000 settlement from the Assembly paid for by taxpayers.
Why are we paying the bill? Why shouldn't we go after the violator?
Sacramento Assemblyman Kevin McCarty wants to end taxpayer-funded settlements for sexual harassment.
If violators know that they would be on the hook financially, not just the taxpayers and the government, maybe they change behavior.
No means no.
Changing behavior at the Capitol was the focus of today's Assembly hearing on harassment, coming just one day after Los Angeles Assemblyman Raul Bocanegra resigned abruptly yesterday after he was accused of groping a female staffer. And Senator Tony Mendoza, also of Los Angeles, was sanctioned yesterday and stripped of his chairmanships following multiple allegations of harassment. Today's hearing was chaired by Assemblywoman Laura Friedman, who said it's the first step in changing the Capitol culture.
We don't have a process that people feel protects their confidentiality. We don't have a process that ensures that people don't lose their jobs or are forced to leave the Capitol building because of reporting these actions.
There may soon be a new reporting process for victims of sexual harassment in the California State Assembly. As for payments, Kevin McCarty says he'll introduce his bill to make lawmakers pay for settlements when session begins in January. Our local news continues. One local man braved 9 of the country's highest mountains this year after climbing Pikes Peak in Colorado in the fall. And a proposal to ban tobacco products for those under 21 failed in Nelsonville. All this next on Newswatch.
We have rain moving into the forecast. We'll see how much we'll get from that. Temperatures will stay above average possibly, and then we'll take a look at your extended forecast coming up next on Newswatch. But first, here's a look at stocks of local interest.
Professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
The student body here at Ohio University absolutely is a family.
The students support one another.
You become this unit, this big, friendly family unit.
There's this connectedness.
You feel a part of something.
Driving in on the highway and just seeing the red bricks and the trees again, it's just like coming back home.
There's great students, great professors.
You just walk around campus and think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I go here.
I feel like I matter in the community, and I feel like I matter here at Ohio University.
It's home. Athens is home.
Welcome back to the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm Grant Denman. We had a beautiful day out there today, and this is going to continue for the first part of tonight. Our current temperature right now is 51 degrees. That wind is pretty calm, but that will begin to change a little bit as we go through the overnight hours. Dew point's at 33 degrees, humidity is 49%, and our pressure is at 30.24 inches, and that will actually begin to drop as we go through the next several hours and as we go through tonight. And our high today was actually well below the average at 59 degrees. Our normal is 49 degrees, and our record 70 degrees set back in 1987. And our low for today was 32 degrees. Normal was 29, so we're right there, almost on top of it. And our sunrise and sunset is at 7:28 a.m. and sunsets at 5:07, getting closer to that 5 o'clock hour now. Now, as we go through the night tonight, it's going to be 48 by 8 p.m., 43 by midnight, and by 4 a.m., 39 degrees. So as we go through the night tonight, those clouds will begin to increase due to the chance for rain that's going to come into the forecast for tomorrow. But as we look at temperatures throughout the region tonight, we're hitting 38 degrees in Columbus, 36 in Newark, and 36 in Cambridge, 37 in New Lexington, 39 in Jackson, and our warm spot down in Ironton at 41 degrees. And as we go through the night, pretty dry. But here's our area of low pressure that's going to continue to push off to the north and east into our area. And as we go into tomorrow, that rain begins to fill in. And although it won't be heavy, it'll be light and just cause a little bit of a nuisance as we go through tomorrow afternoon and evening. But other than that, we're going to be pretty dry. And as we go through the bus stop tomorrow morning, 39 degrees. It's going to be comfortable. Clouds will be on the increase due to that rain that's going to be in the forecast for tomorrow afternoon, and that wind will be out of the south from 0 to 5 miles per hour. And here's those rain chances moving in at 4 p.m. with a 40% chance by then, 54 degrees at 4 p.m., 56 by noon. So we'll get that warmth at the about 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon before that cold front begins to push through. So 60 degrees here in Athens, 55 in New Lexington, 55 in Columbus, 61 down in Ironton, and 62 in Ripley. And as we go through tomorrow, 60 degrees again, unseasonably warm for this time of year, rain in the afternoon, and that wind will begin to pick up. And at the 7-day forecast, it'll be 46, so we cool off on Friday, but we warm back up again by the weekend and into next week with a chance of rain by the middle part of next week. Back to you, Jacob.
Thanks, Grant. The Nelsonville City Council voted Monday against a proposed tobacco ban for those under 21 years old. The ban, which was rejected 5-2, focused on concerns with young people's health versus the benefit of cigarette sales on small businesses. A similar law was already passed last year in Columbus, Ohio. Nelsonville residents expressed their thoughts on both the ban and smoking in general.
Personally, I've lost 2 parents to lung cancer, so I don't know why anybody would smoke.
Well, I have 2 brothers who are 19 and 21, and neither of them smoke, but it would be kind of upsetting if they decided to. I don't know. But I also have family that do, and I don't judge them for it.
Had the ban been passed, Nelsonville would have been one of a handful of Ohio cities to raise the age of purchase to 21. Colorado has 58 mountains reaching elevations on 14,000 feet or more, and one local man has climbed them all. Gloucester resident Jeremiah Couch's hiking journey began in 2011 when coworkers introduced him to mountain climbing. Although he didn't have a lot of experience, he said he had determination. After 6 years, he was able to climb all 58 mountains in 39 trips. He carried about 49 pounds of gear and traveled in all types of conditions. Jeremiah thanks his family and friends for being so supportive and is looking forward to his next adventure.
Hello, I'm Connor Mills. Coming up next in sports, the Ohio University's men and women's basketball teams were in action last night, and we will break down what went down on the courts. Also, for the first time in his 15-year career, LeBron James was ejected from a game in the NBA. What caused this flare-up, and did it affect the Cavs? All this and more will be next on Newswatch. And stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Body here at Ohio University absolutely is a family.
The students support one another.
You become this unit, this big, friendly family unit.
There's this connectedness.
You feel a part of something.
Driving in on the highway and just seeing the red bricks and the trees again, it's just like coming back home.
There's great students, great professors.
You just walk around campus and think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I go here.
I feel like I matter in the community, and I feel like I matter here at Ohio University.
It's home. Athens is home.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like we're having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, this is it. And she said, the tour's just started. I said, no, you don't understand. This is it.
Welcome back. I'm Connor Mills. The Ohio men's and women's basketball teams took to the court yesterday as they both looked to continue on some early season success. The men's team faced Iona Gales in a high-scoring affair, while the women's matched up against Eastern Kentucky Colonials. The men's team looked for their third straight win last night against Iona in the Convocation Center. Mike Laster led the way for the Bobcats with a game-high 23 points, his third straight game with 20 or more. Gavin Block, Tavion Kirk, and Jordan Dardis also finished with double-digit scores, but unfortunately that would not be enough to overcome the Gales offense. The Bobcats struggled on the foul line toward the end of the game as they shot 9 for 15 while Iona made all 13 count. That would be the deciding factor in the game as the Gales beat the Bobcats 93-88. While the men were home, the women traveled to Richmond, Kentucky to face the Colonials. After starting out slow in the first half, the Bobcats picked it up in the second, led by junior Dominique Dosick, who had 15 points. In addition to Dosick, Taylor Aguilar, Amani Burke, and Ciara Hooks also scored in double digits. Trailing by 1 going into the second half, the Bobcats scored 27 and dominated the entire fourth quarter. Ohio went on to beat the Colonials 69-57. The women's team is now 4-1 on the season and will face IUPUI on Saturday after the home wrestling match at 11:30. In Ohio University football news, 12 players were named as All-MAC selections, tied for the most in the conference along with Western Michigan. The only first-team defense selection is senior linebacker Quentin Poling, with 6 players named to the second-team All-MAC offense and 2 to the defense. A couple names on the second team were sophomore quarterback Nathan Rourke and junior wide receiver Poppy White. 3 players were named to the third-team All-MAC as well. In the NHL, the Blue Jackets bounced back against the Carolina Hurricanes after their 6-game winning streak came to an end. The Columbus Blue Jackets defeated the Hurricanes in overtime shootout by a score of 3-2. Jonas Corpusalo made the most of his start as goalie with 29 saves in the game. Josh Anderson and Zach Wernski both scored goals in regulation for the Blue Jackets, and Cam Atkinson with Artemi Parkins scored in shootout to give them the victory. Columbus has won 7 of their last 8 games and will face Anaheim on Friday. The Cleveland Cavaliers kept on rolling with their 9th straight win last night. The Cavs bested the Miami Heat 108-97, and for the first time in 1,082 games, LeBron James was ejected and shown the door. LeBron James drove down the court, went up for a shot, and drew contact from Miami's Dion Waiters and James Johnson. LeBron thought a foul should have been called, but when he went to the ref, a technical foul was called on him instead, and he was out of here. Kevin Love led all scorers with 38 points, and the next test will be against Atlanta tomorrow night. Last night, the College Playoff Football Selection Committee released its second-to-last rankings, and there are some major shakeups. Clemson tops the rankings for the first time this season, and Auburn jumps into the second spot, becoming the first 2-loss team to ever be in the top 4. Oklahoma and Wisconsin round out the top. Alabama ranks 5th for the first time since they've been outside the top 4 since November of 2014. I'm Connor Mills. That's it for sports. Back to you, Jacob.
A pilot problem for American Airlines may make the hectic holiday travel a bit more crazy. The carrier reported that a scheduling failure has resulted in thousands of flights without pilots and staff workers. A spokesperson says it will bring in reserve pilots for December and is offering pay more to staffers who pick up extra shifts. The airline did not say how many holiday trips might be affected by the error, but it doesn't expect to cancel any flights.
Tonight it's looking actually pretty gorgeous as we're hitting 39 degrees for the low. We're well above average, about 10 degrees for the night above the average. South wind from 0 to 5 miles per hour, so that those clouds will begin to increase as we go through. Tomorrow, 56 by noon, 54 at 4 p.m. with that rain moving in. And we look at the 7-day forecast, 46 on Friday, but we begin to warm up on the weekend and into early next week with a chance of rain by the middle part of next week. And back to you, Jacob.
Thanks, Grant. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Jacob Solether. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at woub.org. Have a great night.